Listen to me very carefully because what I'm about to tell you is going to save you $500,000. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being dramatic. I'm giving you cold, hard financial facts that most people are too emotional to understand. You've been lied to your entire life about one of the biggest financial decisions you will ever make, and today I'm going to expose that lie. But before I do, I need you to do something for me right now. Hit that subscribe button. Smash it. Because this channel is where I tell you the truth, that the financial gurus and the talking heads on television are too afraid to say. We need to build this community of people who actually want to get rich, not just feel good about being broke. So subscribe, become a member, and let's get into this. Here's the lie you've been told. Pay off your mortgage as fast as you can. Throw every extra dollar at that mortgage. Be debt-free. Sleep better at night knowing you own your home outright. It sounds beautiful, doesn't it? It sounds safe. It sounds like the responsible thing to do. And that's exactly why it's bankrupting you. That's why you're going to retire with less money than you should have. That's why you're making a $500,000 mistake and you don't even know it. I'm Kevin O'Leary. I've built companies. I've sold companies. I've made more money than most people will see in 10 lifetimes. And I did not do it by following the herd. I did it by understanding one simple principle that I'm going to teach you today. Money has a job. Every single dollar you have is either working for you or it's sitting there doing nothing. And when you take your money and you throw it at your mortgage to pay it off early, you are firing your best employees. You are taking soldiers off the battlefield. You are crippling your own financial army. Let me paint you a picture. You've got a mortgage. Let's say you owe $300,000 on your house. Your interest rate is 4%. Now your neighbor, your brother-in-law, your financial advisor, they're all telling you the same thing. Pay it off early. Make extra payments. Get rid of that debt. So you listen to them. You take an extra $1,000 a month, money you could be investing, and you throw it at the mortgage. You feel good about it. You feel responsible. You feel like you're winning, but you're not winning. You're losing, and you're losing big. Here's what nobody's telling you. That 4% interest rate on your mortgage, that's the cheapest money you will ever borrow in your entire life. It's cheaper than a car loan. It's cheaper than a credit card. It's cheaper than a business loan. And in most cases, it's tax deductible. So the real cost of that money is even less than 4%. You are essentially borrowing money at 3%, maybe even less, depending on your tax bracket. Now, why on earth would you rush to pay back the cheapest loan you'll ever have? You wouldn't, unless you're financially illiterate, unless you've been brainwashed by people who are too scared to take risks, unless you've confused being debt-free with being wealthy. And let me tell you something, those two things are not the same. I know plenty of people who are debt-free and broke. They own their home outright and they're eating ramen noodles in retirement because they have no investments, they have no cash flow, they have no wealth, they have a house, that's it, and you can't eat a house. Now I can already hear some of you getting upset. I can hear you saying, but Kevin, peace of mind matters. I sleep better at night knowing I don't owe anyone anything. And to that I say, congratulations. You're going to sleep very peacefully in a house you own while you're eating cat food because you have no retirement savings. Peace of mind is expensive. And if you want to pay for that peace of mind by giving up $500,000, that's your choice. But don't come crying to me when you're 70 years old and you can't afford to do anything except sit in your paid-off house and watch the walls. I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm trying to wake you up. I'm trying to get you to think like a wealthy person instead of thinking like a poor person who's pretending to be responsible. Wealthy people understand leverage. Wealthy people understand opportunity cost. Wealthy people understand that you don't get rich by paying off cheap debt. You get rich by investing in assets that grow faster than your debt costs you. So let me ask you a question. If you could borrow money at 4% and invest it at 10%, would you do it? Of course you would. That's a 6% spread. That's free money. That's how you build wealth. But when I tell people to keep their mortgage and invest the difference, they look at me like I'm crazy. They say, but Kevin, the stock market is risky. Real estate could crash. What if I lose money? And my answer is always the same. What if you don't? What if you actually follow the plan? What if you actually invest that extra $1,000 a month into a diversified portfolio and you let it grow for 20 or 30 years? Do you know what happens? You become a millionaire. That's what happens. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. First, you need to understand exactly how much this mistake is costing you. You need to see the numbers. You need to understand the math, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's what we're going to do next. Let me show you the numbers, because numbers don't lie. People lie. Emotions lie. But math is pure truth. So grab a calculator if you want to follow along, or just listen to me because I've done this calculation 1,000 times and I know it by heart. This is where most people's eyes glaze over. This is where they tune out because they don't want to face reality. But if you want to be wealthy, you need to fall in love with numbers. You need to understand them. You need to let them guide your decisions instead of your feelings. Let's go back to our example. You have a $300,000 mortgage at 4% interest. Your monthly payment is about $1,400. Now you got an extra $1,000 a month and you're trying to decide what to do with it. Option 1, throw it at the mortgage, pay it off early. Option 2, invest it in the stock market. Let's run both scenarios and see what happens. Scenario 1, you take that extra $1,000 every month and you put it toward your mortgage principal. You're aggressive, you're disciplined. You do this every single month without fail. Guess what happens? You pay off your $300,000 mortgage in about 13 years instead of 30 years. Congratulations. You're debt-free. You own your home outright. You feel amazing. You throw a party. Your friends think you're a genius. But here's what you actually have. You have a house worth, let's say, $400,000 if it appreciated a little bit, and you have $0 in investments. Zero, because every extra penny went to the mortgage. Now let's look at scenario 2. You keep the mortgage. You make your regular $1,400 payment every single month for the full 30 years. But that extra $1,000, you invest it. You put it into a low-cost index fund. You don't touch it. You don't panic when the market dips. You just keep investing month after month after month. You know what happens after 30 years? You have over $2 million. I'm not making this up. This is basic compound interest. $1,000 a month invested at an average return of 10%, which is what the stock market has historically returned, gives you $2.1 million after 30 years. So let me recap. Scenario 1, you pay off the mortgage early. You have a $400,000 house and zero investments. Scenario 2, you keep the mortgage. You still have a $400,000 house because you've been making payments the whole time, and you have $2.1 million in investments. Which one sounds better to you? I'll give you a hint. It's the one with $2 million extra dollars. But wait, some of you are saying, Kevin, you're not accounting for the interest I'm paying on the mortgage. You're right, let's account for it. Over 30 years on a $300,000 mortgage at 4%, you'll pay about $215,000 in interest. That sounds like a lot. It sounds scary. But you know what? You just made $2.1 million in the stock market. So you paid $215,000 in interest. And you made $2.1 million in returns. That's a profit of $1.9 million. Meanwhile, the person who paid off their mortgage early saved that $215,000 in interest, but they have $0 in investments. They saved $215,000, but they gave up $2.1 million to do it. That is not smart. That is not winning. That is losing with extra steps. And here's the part that really makes me angry. That mortgage interest, in most cases, it's tax deductible. So you're not even really paying the full 4%. Depending on your tax bracket, your effective interest rate might be 3% or even less. You are borrowing money at 3% and investing it at 10%. That is a 7% spread. That is a money printing machine. And you're telling me you want to turn off that machine because you're afraid of debt. That's insane. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. But Kevin, what if the stock market crashes? What if I lose all my money? What if 10% returns don't happen? Okay, let's stress test this. Let's say the stock market only returns 7% instead of 10%. You know what you end up with after 30 years? $1.2 million. Still way better than zero. Let's say it only returns 6%. You end up with about $1 million. Still better than zero. Do you see the pattern here? Even in a worst-case scenario where the market underperforms, you still come out ahead by investing instead of paying off the mortgage early. And let's talk about risk for a second, because I'm tired of people acting like paying off your mortgage is safe and investing is risky. You know what's risky? Having all of your net worth tied up in one single asset that you can't liquidate easily. If you own your home outright and you need cash for an emergency, what are you going to do? You can't sell one bedroom. You can't sell the kitchen. You have to take out a home equity loan, which guess what? Puts you right back in debt, except now you're borrowing at a higher interest rate than your original mortgage. Or you have to sell the whole house, uproot your family, and move. That's not safety. That's being trapped. But if you have $2 million in a brokerage account, you have options. You have liquidity. You have flexibility. You can pull out what you need when you need it. You can weather any storm. That is real security, not some false sense of peace because you don't owe anyone anything. Wealthy people understand this, poor people don't. And that's why poor people stay poor. Here's another thing nobody talks about, inflation. Inflation is your best friend when you have a mortgage. Let's say you lock in a mortgage today at 4%. In 10 years, inflation has been running at 3% per year. That means the real cost of your mortgage is only 1%. You're essentially paying 1% to borrow money. That's free money. And the dollars you're paying back in the future are worth less than the dollars you borrowed today. Meanwhile, your house is appreciating. Your investments are growing. Inflation is making you richer and your debt cheaper at the same time. But if you pay off the mortgage early, you give up that advantage. You pay back the loan with today's expensive dollars instead of tomorrow's cheap dollars. I could go on and on about this, but I think you're starting to get the picture. The math is clear, the logic is sound. Paying off your mortgage early is a massive opportunity cost. It's a mistake that will cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe over $1 million, depending on how long you live and how much you invest. And yet people still do it because they've been conditioned to fear debt more than they love wealth. So now you're probably asking yourself, Kevin, if this is such a no-brainer, why isn't everyone doing it? Why are people still rushing to pay off their mortgages? Why are financial advisors still telling people to be debt-free? I'll tell you why. Because most people are not equipped to handle the truth. They're too emotional. They're too scared. And frankly, a lot of financial advisors out there are idiots who are just repeating what they heard from someone else without actually doing the math themselves. But you're here. You're watching this video. That means you're different. That means you actually want to understand how money works. You want to build real wealth, not just pretend wealth. So let me give you the strategy. Let me tell you exactly what you need to do starting today to avoid this $500,000 mistake. Step 1, stop making extra payments on your mortgage. I don't care what your mother told you. I don't care what Dave Ramsey says. Stop it. Right now, take that extra money you were throwing at the principal and redirect it. You're going to need it for step 2. Step 2, open a brokerage account if you don't already have one. I'm talking about a regular taxable brokerage account, not just your retirement account. You want to max out your 401k first, obviously, especially if you're getting an employer match. That's free money. Take it. But after that, you need a taxable account where you can invest as much as you want without limits. Step 3, invest that extra money every single month like clockwork. I don't care if the market is up. I don't care if the market is down. You invest it. You put it into a low-cost index fund. I like the S&P 500. It's simple. It's diversified. It's been around forever. And it works. You're not trying to pick the next hot stock. You're not trying to time the market. You're being boring and disciplined because that's how you get rich. Step 4, do not touch that money. This is where most people fail. They invest for 6 months, the market dips, they panic and they sell, or they invest for 2 years and then they see a shiny new car and they pull the money out. Don't do that. This money is not for spending. This is your wealth building machine. You leave it alone and you let compound interest do the heavy lifting. Step 5, keep making your regular mortgage payment. I'm not telling you to stop paying your mortgage. I'm telling you to stop overpaying it. You signed a contract. You agreed to pay a certain amount every month for 30 years. Honor that contract, but don't give them a penny more than you owe. Every extra dollar should be working for you in the market, not sitting in your house doing nothing. Now let's talk about what happens when you actually follow this plan. Let's fast forward 20 years. You've been investing that $1,000 a month. The market has had its ups and downs. There were years where you were nervous. There were years where you thought about quitting. But you stuck with it. You trusted the process. And now you look at your account and you see $750,000, maybe more. Your house has appreciated. You still owe some money on the mortgage, but you're not worried because you have $750,000 in liquid investments. Meanwhile, your neighbor who paid off his mortgage early, he's sitting in his paid off house feeling proud. But he's got maybe $50,000 saved up because after he paid off the house, he never got around to investing seriously. He tells himself he'll start next year, but next year never comes. Who's in a better position? You are, by a mile. And here's the beautiful part. When you hit retirement, you have options. You can use your investment income to pay off the mortgage if you want to. You can keep the mortgage and live off your investments. You can sell some of your stocks, pay off the house, and still have over $1 million left over. You have choices. Your neighbor who paid off his house early, he doesn't have choices. He's stuck. He's house rich and cash poor. That's a terrible place to be. I want you to understand something. Debt is not the enemy. Bad debt is the enemy. Credit card debt at 20% interest, that's bad debt. Pay that off immediately. Car loans at 7 or 8%, that's bad debt. Don't finance a depreciating asset. But a mortgage at 4%, that's good debt. That's leverage. That's a tool that wealthy people use to build wealth faster. The key is knowing the difference. And I want to address one more objection because I know some of you are still not convinced. You're saying, Kevin, I just want peace of mind. I don't want to owe anyone anything. I want to sleep well at night. And I respect that. I really do. But let me ask you this. What's going to give you more peace of mind when you're 70 years old? Owning your house outright with no savings, or having a mortgage payment that's easily covered by your investment income while you sit on $2 million? I know which one I'd pick. Peace of mind doesn't come from having zero debt. Peace of mind comes from having options. It comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you can handle it because you have resources. A paid-off house is not a resource. It's an illusion of security. Real security is liquidity. Real security is having money in the bank that you can access when you need it. Now, I'm not saying everyone should keep their mortgage forever. If you're 65 years old and you're about to retire, maybe it makes sense to pay it off so you have lower expenses in retirement. Fine. But if you're 35, 40, 45 years old and you've got 20 or 30 years until retirement, paying off that mortgage early is financial suicide. You're giving up decades of compound growth for what? A piece of paper that says you own your house? You already own your house. The bank doesn't own it. You do. You just owe them money. And that money is the cheapest money you'll ever borrow. Here's my final challenge to you. Run the numbers yourself. Don't take my word for it. Go to a compound interest calculator online. Plug in your numbers. See what happens if you invest that extra money instead of paying off the mortgage. I guarantee you, when you see the difference, you're going to kick yourself for every extra payment you've ever made. And here's what I need from you right now. If this video opened your eyes, if you finally understand why paying off your mortgage early is a mistake, I need you to smash that like button. I need you to share this video with every single person you know who's making this mistake. Send it to your friends, send it to your family, post it on social media, because this information could literally change someone's life. It could save them hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button right now. This channel is about cutting through the nonsense and telling you the truth about money. No sugarcoating, no feel-good advice that keeps you poor, just cold, hard facts that will actually make you wealthy. But don't just subscribe. Become a member. Join this community of people who actually want to win with money. When you become a member, you're supporting this channel. You're helping us create more content like this. And you're surrounding yourself with people who think like investors, not like broke people pretending to be responsible. Look, I've made my money. I don't need to convince you of anything. I'm doing this because I'm tired of watching good people make terrible financial decisions because they've been lied to their whole lives. You deserve to be wealthy. You deserve to retire comfortably, but you're not going to get there by playing it safe. You're not going to get there by being debt-free and broke. The wealthy understand leverage. They understand opportunity cost. They understand that sometimes the smartest move is to keep the debt and invest the difference. And now you understand it too. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to keep making extra mortgage payments because it feels good? Or are you going to start building real wealth? The choice is yours. But I'll tell you this. 20 years from now, you're either going to thank me or you're going to regret not listening. I know which one I'd rather see. Now get out there and start investing. Stop paying off that mortgage early and build the wealth you deserve. That's all I've got for you today. Now go make it happen.